Now it's time for a business spotlight. This is the Adelaide Project.
Hello and welcome to the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, brought to you by podcastcity.com.au. If you're looking for a way to engage your audience with your amazing content, then you need to talk to them about producing, recording, editing, videoing and distributing your very own podcast. Just go to podcastcity.com.au. I'm Ron Fiedler and it's great to be back with you with another edition of the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight. Can I ask you, do you believe in yourself? Are you all you could be, and are you living to your full potential? Or in your mind, are there unknown behaviours and self-doubt stopping you from being all that you could be? Today on the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, my guest is going to help you break through your conscious mind that is stopping you from believing in yourself. Susie Ford from Just Be Fabulous and Shift Hidden Beliefs helps people to change their thought process and find out the underlying reasons that are stopping you from living up to your full potential. Susie describes herself from her past experiences of being a master of imitation and guides you to find out what is hidden in your mind that is stopping you from achieving everything that you desire. She helps people obtain self-awareness, realisation and clarity on what has been in the way, blocking the outcomes you truly deserve. So now let's take a journey of self-understanding and awareness to change our behaviour and mindset to live the life we deserve. Susie Ford from Let's Just Be Fabulous and Shift Hidden Beliefs, welcome to the podcast and radio show.
Thank you, Ron.
It is great to have you here, and I'm really excited because a lot of us out there truly don't live up to our potential, and a lot of us out there do have these blockages, and this is something that you do, and that's why I'm so glad you're on the program. Susie, can you tell us a little bit about your journey of self-discovery and how it turned into you being able to help people live up to their full potential?
So how long have you got, Ron? I mean, that's going to take forever. Look, I spent what seems like 100 years in the corporate environment and senior management. And I often worked with staff who could never see their true potential. It fascinated me, actually, of how they would berate themselves, have low self-esteem, negative self-talk of self or others, to the point I wanted to know why. And I felt saddened that it was happening because it does create an atmosphere. It encouraged me to learn more of the whys. So I found even myself that never happened to me. I never looked at self until adversity hit. And that was back in 2017. And the universe kind of stepped in and said, stop, you need to get out of the corporate space. And it got me through a position where I was in rehab here in Adelaide. And I happened to be living with my parents. And through that time, you know, I was seeing the patterns and beliefs and behaviours that they were playing out that were there as I was a child. But as an adult now, through adult eyes, they weren't right. My father speaking with disrespect to my mother, it wasn't right now. But what most powerful thing that happened was, and empowering really, is that I saw the behaviours that I had taken on from them.
Now, Susie, I think it's on your website, you have a video that says, up to the age of 7, we learn all this stuff. Is that correct?
Absolutely, Ron. The science shows us from third trimester until nearly 7 years of age, we take on everything, all of our beliefs, our behaviours and patterns from mum, dad, a significant influence, or the community in which we live in.
So it's very important that parents out there realise that these 7 years are the most critical for a child, and it can shape the rest of their life.
Crucial, absolutely crucial years.
Why do you think people don't believe in themselves, Susie?
Look, sadly, most of us have generational beliefs and behaviours as our own DNA just because of what we just mentioned. And at the end of the day, for example, a person with low self-esteem who often has negative self-talk, never accepting a compliment, perhaps struggles with a positive mindset, may have learnt that behaviour from mum or dad, heard them saying detrimental things to themselves, often. So it's the child's normal situation to repeat that behaviour into adulthood without a given thought.
So basically, when we're children and we're growing up with these beliefs, we're seeing what our parents are doing, maybe grandparents are doing, our subconscious mind would just simply continue on without us even doing it, like we're on autopilot?
Absolutely autopilot. The sad part is when you think back, and this is why I take people through this process initially, is when they look at their own parents and then they look at their grandparents, they can see the pattern flow.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that this is all in the subconscious mind. We spend nearly 95% of our day in the subconscious patterning.
Yeah.
And there's only 5% that we spend thinking, what are we going Friday night? Which pub? What's for dinner tonight? Things like that. So,
wow, that's a lot. And look, is there a way we can break this? Is it something that's just in us that we can't get rid of, or do you have a way with programs that you can change this?
Well, it is working, whatever's happening. Maybe it's because I really ask people if they are ready to be vulnerable, because I think when we're hurting, and a lot of people are, and struggling with the mindset, it is a case where you are open for change. And yes, it takes work, and I can guide you with the tools, but it certainly does take that vulnerability and steps towards, wanting. As I say, the desire to change must be greater than the desire to stay the same.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. If you're not going to change, nothing's going to work for you. When you do get clients come to you and they talk about, I want to break this cycle, whatever it is, how do you get them to want to change as well? Because sometimes, they may, as we talked about, they don't believe in themselves. They say, this is not going to work. This is, as soon as you say that, it's not going to work. How can you help them to say, look, give this a go. We can make this work?
I think this is where the reality starts stepping in, because the self-awareness is the key, and the realisation and then clarity. So that can take a process. Some people can take months. I've worked with some people for many months until they've realised they're sitting in victim mentality, and that's a crucial spot. There are 7 levels of self-awareness, and a lot of people I work with starting in victim mentality and in blame. They're blaming other people for what is not changing in their life, which is sad, because there's a little sadness in that thought, in that space.
Yeah, definitely. Do you so you have to be sometimes cruel to be kind?
Well, I do it softly,
yes,
with love, and a lot of colour to make them feel fabulous. But it certainly is that. And I think as people say that work with me, this is not easy, but it's works. It's proven. So yeah.
And it's crucial, because I think we're getting to a point now. We've got this with helicopter parents, and we've got this with certain workplaces where it's all lovey-dovey and there's no reality of consequences. And what happens is you then have a situation, you have a blockage, as you say, and you don't know how to face it and how to control it.
So true. And Ron, I use the word boundaries because it's another word for blockage, but at the end of the day, people are putting this imaginary fence around themselves, and really, again, putting blame or just deciding they can't get over it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, I know of a person, and she's had a very bad upbringing, but she tells people, do not do this, do not do that, because I don't want to go down that path that my parents went down. Right. And she put this great big blog about rules for her. And I'm glad she's done it, because sometimes you don't realise that what you're doing may be harmful to the other person, but it's not harmful to you, because you've got a way of controlling things where some other people may not be able to control certain things. For example, she says, don't leave rubbish lying around my home. My mother was a hoarder, and I don't want to be in that situation. And I know that if things get too bad for me and I get depressed, that I'll just leave it there and it'll pile up and pile up. But if I do it straight away and get rid of it, I won't be a hoarder. So, some people they need that change, but they need your help with it.
Absolutely. And it's incredible. I'll throw another example your way, because it's a big security and safety space for someone to be in, just holding on to things. But there's a lot of behaviours of narcissists out there, and I'm coming across a lot of this where they, for example's sake, mum might be a narcissist or dad. So the children are then drawing in what's familiar to them. So they're partnering up with someone of the same. So they lose themselves. And their heart and soul strives for different things in life, but they just can't get past the control of someone else. And of course, they've had that as a child. So they're struggles. It's just struggles with capabilities in mind.
Yeah. So we've all heard the expression, she marries someone like her dad, for example, or they can't let go of the apron strings of mum. This comes true that, that's their safety, that's their way of coping. But it doesn't have to be, Susie, because you've got services in place and programs that can help people. Could you let us know a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I will share too, I'm in my vulnerable space,
yes,
but
please.
That my father was a very controlling, disrespectful man in words only, but he learnt that from his own father. So he repeated that pattern he despised. So and my mother was a people pleaser. So I was the people pleaser in the adult, and I drew into my life the disrespectful people in bosses, in partners, in all sorts of things. So I am a master of imitation, and I think a lot of people are. And the sad part is that they don't know how to get out of that boundary. Yeah. So the courses I've done are certainly, I start off with 2-hour workshops where people get a touch on what they can achieve.
Yeah.
You see you through me in that 2-hour. You start to see you. Then that flows into a 4-week program of how to reclaim the confidence you gave away. So it starts to build up the intensity and really get more vulnerable within that. So if I can just repeat that, the intensity starts with this program and it heats up as we work through the layers and more vulnerability is required. Mm-hmm. So levels of self-awareness and conscious mind starts to happen. This then flows in to a 12-week program called Uncover and Discover You Beneath the Surface. So it's certainly face-to-face and online coaching, alternate weeking. And, of course, I do one-on-one with clients as well, male and female.
Yeah. That's just great because you've got different intensities, as you were saying, compared to what someone is trying to achieve. And, of course, we're human. We all have different resilience. So someone may only need a little bit to get them over that obstacle, while someone else needs a whole lot of support.
Oh, absolutely. And my belief is just start slow with me because not everybody's ready to be vulnerable and they need to feel safe. Hence, when I do the workshops, even one-on-one, it is a safe space.
Yes.
For that reason, because it is hard work and it really is getting to know self is a roller coaster. Yeah. There's no question about it. But no guts, no glory, as I say.
Definitely. I have to agree with you there. As you said, you've got to make that want to change. And we have someone that comes on our morning show who does mental health. And we discuss this quite often, that once upon a time, it used to be a weakness to show vulnerability and to ask for help, where now it's brave. It is something that is celebrated to ask for help. How do you feel when people come to you and they've got this problem and you're able to overcome it, and then at the end they are living a better life? They're living up to their full potential. How does that make you feel, Susie?
Oh, elated, empowered, just incredible, really, because what's beautiful to watch is where they start. Yeah. And then I work through exercises and tools for courage and resilience, strengths, and what people think they are is nothing to what they really are. Yeah. Because they're far greater inside than they start to think they are. They really start in a bad place. Yes. If they're not allowing self to love oneself. And it's really got to be back to that. People have to love self the way they are. Yeah. Before they can truly be totally connected to someone else.
Got to agree there. I think we don't put ourselves first enough. What we seem to do is put everyone, as you said, you're a people pleaser, you put everyone else first before you. But if you're putting yourself first and making sure that you're mentally prepared, that you're eating good food and you've got a place to live and you're living your best life, it means it's going to shine on everyone else and they're going to live their best life because they can see that you don't have problems. You can help other people with problems. But if you're a person who has a lot of baggage, a lot of blockages, how do you help other people?
Oh, that's a valid point, Ron, too, because a lot of people are very conscious of what their food, what they consume, and their exercise and their sleep, but they forget about their mindset. Yeah. And they forget to dig where this is the hardest part. It's controlling them. So it is forgotten a lot, and that's what I do find. I find people that walk in to see me that just look stunning, male or female. Got to get through the core of that a little bit to get them to relax and start to see the real person. But they are so focused on money, life, getting this, getting that, and they've forgotten about their mind. So it's, if anything I can say today to anyone is, don't forget your mind and who you really are, because you're more than you know.
Definitely. And that's the thing, your real self, the real person that you want to be, not, as you said, living a life that someone else wants you to live.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the yin and yang for people, like opposites attract, as they say? If you are someone who has had a situation where you've had a narcissist parent, you've been treated bad, and you, instead of going into that situation again, you should look for someone that isn't like that to sort of balance you out?
Definitely, because you're only going to repeat what the past has been.
So will that stop the repeating if you do have a supportive partner that is completely opposite?
Definitely. And I think at the end of the day, what happens though, it's about seeing what is within me. So otherwise you will continue to repeat. So for example's sake, I could have just kept on that track of pulling in negative, disrespectful people into my world and accepting it. So that's what normal behaviour is.
Yes.
We generally do that.
Yes.
But it's about stopping. And if people are, falling out of relationships right now, stop and look at self before you go into another, because you will repeat the same pattern.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what does happen. And someone like yourself can help people break that cycle. Yeah. Do you do this, as you said, one-on-one, but do couples come to you, or mum and dads, or mum and child?
Yes, that does happen. I have got a situation with that. I don't necessarily like to, because generally the adult children like to really say it as it is, and it can be quite offensive to mum or dad that's sitting there. So sometimes in that situation, it's better doing it separately and then pulling it in together when it's the right time, so that there's peace and no war in the same room. Yeah. But it's not off the cards, but it's got to be the right people that can cope with that.
That's a good to know, that you've got to go in yourself, get yourself to that point where then you can then bring someone else in and resolve the situations. Yeah. So that's quite good. What about workplaces? How can we use this in our workplaces?
Definitely. The corporate space is something I do a lot with, and unfortunately there is a lot of staff out there that people are not aware of, that, we get, again, so busy in the corporate space. Things have to be done, budgets have to be met and so on, that there's no time taken to look and actually look with open adult eyes at what's going on around them. If there's bullying, if there's all sorts of things like negative mindsets in people, self-worth issues, and there's plenty in male and female, there is the core that's stopping that person from achieving what they aspire to in the workplace or in their own personal life.
So basically someone could be such a good at a position that they're not currently doing, and it can be blindsided by management because they haven't got their work culture in order.
That's right. It's more their self-culture.
Self-culture.
Because at the end of the day, and unfortunately, there's a lot of middle management that want to get into upper management and they stop themselves from doing that, even though they're capable of it, or they get given the position and the self-worth hits in and they feel, quite negative about how they can cope with it. Yeah. So that's a huge area as well.
And it's that self-doubting that you talk about. We always, I suppose, think we're not good enough. And, I've overcome that with the imposter theory that, no, I am good. I am good at this. I know what I'm doing. I don't have to get other people's approval anymore. How do you get to that point? Can you give tips to people? I know that it's very hard in a short amount of time, but what can people do today to start moving them forward to changing their behaviours and their mindset?
First step is decide. If someone knows that they're angry, knows that they resent, knows that they're jealous, is to be consciously aware that that is the trait I've got. Yeah. I'm reactive. So when you're conscious, when it comes up, you can self-talk. You can say, oh, God, stop it. Just stop.
You can recognise it.
You start to recognise it. Yeah. When it's subconscious behaviour, we do it all the time. We're angry with someone, or we're impatient with people, or the negative self-talks. You can, if you are conscious of it, and with tools, of course, that I can give out, but you will be in control. You start to get in control. Affirmations daily are extremely important as well.
Mm-hmm. So every day we should be practicing this. This is an ongoing thing for the rest of our lives?
I believe so, because unfortunately, however old we are, we've had all this stuff in the back of our mind for a long time.
Yes.
So we're pulling it forward into the conscious mind to really be truthful and honest with self that we've got to do the work. And it's like anything, I'm afraid. It's got to be a daily practice, and once it's there, you're getting more conscious and more aware.
Yeah.
And things will always come up. Things will always trigger people. And I say to people, it's not over today after you've done 6 months on it.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process.
I suppose it's like an athlete. An athlete, it doesn't matter whether they're retired or not. They want to keep fit. They want to be involved in their sport. And they try to continue on being in that high level. The way they do that is through practice.
Absolutely. And the other valid point, if I may share, is, what brings you joy in your life?
Yeah.
Write down 5 things that make you feel great. And it might be your dog, it might be having a coffee with your mate or a beer down the pub or something.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, no, don't do the beer. Have an orange juice. But or a green one. It's better for the insides.
Yes, I have seen that you do like your green juice.
Oh, yes, don't go there. But seriously, what brings you joy? And bring it down, 5 things, and then bring it down to 2 things that really make you sing and get onto them, because we forget to do them.
Yeah.
And then we get bogged down and tired and grumpy, and bringing joyful things in your world can also help to start the shift with negative.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with everything you're saying today. And this is why we do this podcast and radio show, is because we discover people like you, and we can make ourselves better, and we can make people around us aware of what the situation is that we're going through, and it helps us. And that's what it's all about. And this is what you do, Susie. You help people to live to their full potential. If people want to contact you and find out more about your services and what you can do for them, what can they do?
Firstly, if I can just cap on what you've said there, Ron.
Yes, please.
The biggest word that I use is confidence.
Confidence.
So everything I work on underpins the confidence that they don't have. So, yeah, it's so important. Everything is written around the confidence that people don't have.
So, listeners, confidence is the key, and this is where Susie can help you in making sure that your confidence is shining.
Yeah.
And, don't feel guilty about being confident. Don't feel guilty about putting yourself first. You need to come and see Susie to get that mindset straight. And Susie, how they do that?
So www.letsjustbefabulous.com.au. Should I say that again?
Yeah, please.
www.letsjustbefabulous.com.au or Susie@letsjustbefabulous.com.au. And of course, you've got the options there to book a call through Calendar there with me.
Yeah.
And we can have a session and see where you're at. And by all means, ignite what is not yet all that you can be.
Oh, I like that. Say that one more time.
Ignite what is not yet all that you can be.
I love that. That is so good. And don't forget, you can also find Susie Ford on Facebook and LinkedIn. And of course, we're going to have all that information on our show notes. Susie, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about your business and programs that are going to benefit our listeners. And tell everyone out there that self-confidence, as you were saying, and putting yourself first and being the best you can not only helps you, but it helps everyone around him. So thank you so much for that and coming in today.
Pleasure, Ron. Thanks for having me.
We have been speaking with Susie Ford from Let's Just Be Fabulous and Shift Hidden Beliefs. Today on the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, we have been speaking with Susie, and it's been a pleasure to have her on the show. This podcast is brought to you by Podcast City. If you would like more information about starting your own podcast, from planning your podcast to recording, editing, distributing, and also video recording your podcast, just simply go to podcastcity.com.au. I'm Ron Fiedler for the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight. Until we meet again, bye for now.